welcome back to the energy tips for week 14. My name is Jona Bryndis, and I'm going to guide you through the different layers of your energy body and how all these aspects that I mentioned in the weekly Empaths, the energy update, how they affect you emotionally, physically, mentally, in your relationship, at work, and so forth. All right, so let's look at the parameter here. It's a little less orange or red than it was last week, and that's a good thing. So you're going to feel less tension compared to last week. However, I want to point this out here for you guys, that the healing processes that have started now within you are very, very deep, and they will lead to you coming out with an entirely new perspective on life. You'll see your family differently. You'll see your relationship with different eyes. You'll see yourself in a different light. And I want you to take this as your medicine, okay? The things that are coming forward for you, not the pain boiling back up. That's something that we'll cover here, because that's part of the issue when we look deeper into what has shaped us. You know, we become resentful. We have this anger coming forward, okay, for a reason, and that's a good thing. We'll talk about that too, why this is a good thing. But it's mostly for you to understand that there is a common sense with all of this, all right? Why you're going through certain things, why you keep experiencing the same things over and over again, all right? So overall, the collective right now, you know, there's a shift visible, and this shift is polarizing people. So you got to understand this. You know, some of the political stuff that's going on is so off the charts. I'm trying not to be judgmental, but it's so off the charts, childish almost, okay, that there's no way we can trust in this anymore. I mean, you know, it's obvious that the leaders of our companies, or the leaders of our countries, or the leaders even of our families, you know, are not really having the best interest for all in mind. And this isn't, again, and nothing new, is common sense, okay? So we are living in a society that is still very polarized in regards to gender, in regards to races, in regards to castes, or socioeconomical expressions, if you will. And there is a lot of discontent now, okay? So when it comes to emancipation, and I don't just mean this in the emancipation of the sexes, but also in regards of liberating ourselves from these old ties, we are witnessing well, if you want to, the social diseases of the patriarchy, okay? So everything that has been promoted through the masculine principle, not to say that all men are bad, don't misunderstand me here. I'm talking about masculine energies, has nothing to do with gender, okay? Which are very assertive, which are very directed, which are very competitive, and also violent sometimes, but for the most part, all the solar plexus base, that's third chakra, and leading to sort of gaining more power over others, using force to gain power. And that's a principle that also brings a lot of backlash with it, because there's always somebody who needs to be conquered, somebody who needs to be overpowered, somebody who just needs to come from, right? I mean, energies don't just come out of nowhere, all right? So if I want to be sort of powerful, then I need to take power away from others. So this is the patriarchal system here that suggests that, which has led to all these things, such as misuse of power, such as the whole sort of war thing, the warmongering that we have going on right now, all comes from these sort of last residues of these old paradigms, okay, that come with the patriarchy. And at the end of this, because our collective is already shifting now, we are now seeing the very core of it. The very core of these diseases of our society is the war of beliefs. Okay, I said this in the prediction for 2019, but this is now starting, guys. So this is going back to the Crusades and even before that. So it's the war between, you know, in essence, it's my God is better than your God, which with this modern spiritual approach that we are developing is completely outdated. Okay, there is no such thing as my belief is better than your belief. All these paradigms, all these ego paradigms, you know, right or wrong, better or worse, are now basically showing themselves how sick they are. Okay, and it brings up a lot of old conflicts. Conflicts of the churches, conflicts of the sexes, conflicts of the races. All those will boil up, and this makes people very discontent. Okay, so we are heading into a time here until the end of 2020 where all this is boiling up, and unfortunately along with it also terrorism and these really uncontrolled expressions of rage, because there has been over generations has been this repression of this anger against the system, and you know, those who have been exploited, those who have been enslaved, those who have been taken advantage of. Okay, and this is a collective movement that we're observing here. Okay, so if you feel this in yourself as well, then you need to learn how to deal with this in a higher vibratory way. But the fact that it's coming forward is showing us actually that our society, our collective, is going into a larger healing process, which is a positive thing to observe. But on the way there, we have to still witness the collapse of the old system. So this just to give you sort of the larger view, the larger perspective here. The energy centers in you that are probably being triggered the most next week are the 5th and the 7th together. So the 7th is your crown chakra. That's a connection with the larger things. This is everything that I just talked about. It has to do with the 7th chakra. It's like receiving information about the whole and the connection to us here in the whole big picture. All right. The 5th chakra all has to do with the expression of things, but also judgment and the values that come with this. And so we need to refine our own expression of that here in our lifetime. This is what we came here for, and therefore this combination of 5th and 7th chakra will mean that we may have to talk a little bit more. We have to write things out, we have to say things out, discuss things. Meditation and discussion groups, self-help groups, those will all be sort of very, very helpful here in these next 2 years to get through some of the challenges that come with this shift of paradigms, and whether it's in your personal life or in the collective as a whole. So 5th and 7th chakra means that we have to go into a more congruent expression. We have to take our own medicine and stop presenting something that we are not, something that we don't even subscribe to anymore. By the way, having said that, now go through all your subscriptions, you know, either on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on anywhere, you know, even your TV channel subscriptions, and go through if you really still, you know, sort of align to that, to the message that is coming through these organizations or people that you've subscribed to. You know, that's the first step, you know, to really be consequential about this and to not support anything anymore that you really don't appreciate in your life. Okay. Then next, of course, is, you know, to go within yourself and find those moments where, or become aware of those moments where you are still sort of having the same old attitude towards yourself that expresses powerlessness and suffering, or, you know, where you feel trapped and you think that you don't have a choice. You already know you do. This is your biggest power. So catch those moments and replace them with more positive messages to yourself and others. In the energy update, I recommended that you actually do this in a conscious way on social media. You know, send uplifting messages to your friends and to people who have inspired you. I've done this in the last couple of days, and it's actually a really beautiful process, because you begin to develop more appreciation for all the things that other people actually provided for you. And in my life and my whole journey here to arriving at this place that I am, where I'm helping other people to do the same, there were many people who've influenced me, who've inspired me. Not all of them were mentors, but some of them were mentors, and now I am a mentor for others. So this is really how we, as a tiny little part, but together really implement these shifts and these changes that we are looking for. Okay, so go into the awareness with yourself where you may not express what you truly are. And my suggestion to you is, if it's not based on love, if it's not based on truth, it can't be you. Because you are truth, you are love, you are the light. You're on your journey here to embody this light, okay? Now this sounds esoteric and is maybe a little far off from where you are in right now, but for those of you who can hear this message or who resonate with this, remind yourself of that, okay? So if you're presenting something to other people that is not you, then you're also attracting the wrong thing into your life. Not to say that it's your fault. This doesn't justify other people's weaknesses or exploitiveness or narcissism. This is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is choose to not participate. Okay? Yeah, it's okay to say, you know, you don't even have to inform the people. You just step out. You just don't participate anymore. You just don't contact them. You unfollow them or whatever. You know, just don't expose yourself to the things that you already know are not good for you. So how is this playing out physically next week? Well, first and foremost, it's all about your negative emotions. Okay, so in the course of this trauma healing that we've been doing here in these last weeks, you have encountered some of your negative emotions, okay? And I want you to be really aware of what these do to your body. Okay, some of this is already aware to you. I post the chakra torso there a lot, hints on how to identify when you have specific physical problems, you know, what they could be linked to. But I would like to go a little step further with you today and go into direct connection between an emotion and the organ that is affected through it. Okay, so let's look at this chart here together, all right? What is it telling us? It's showing us how specific types of emotions or energetic states affect specific functionalities in your body. And I'm sending this out for you here as an educational material so that you can reflect on this a little bit, okay? So those of you who have a history or recurring heart palpitations, also in conjunction with high blood pressure and chest pain, you need to really look at, you know, your overall expression of how you feel about yourself. This is usually a sign that you are trying to force it, that you are not loving what you're seeing and therefore trying to be something you're not. This is like sort of an overall thing that you need to be very, very careful about. Now, when it comes to your heart as an organ, and this also plays into the small intestines, this has to do with the meridians and how, and our nerves and how these sort of affect another, also on a neurotransmitter level. Any type of hate, I want to point out this because this came forward here in these last sessions, the past couple of days. Self-hatred, but cruelty towards others, cruelty towards yourself, and impatience, they really affect your heart and your small intestines. Now, your small intestines is the place where the nutrients are being broken down and sorted, so to speak. Okay, so if there is something that you are not really taken on or embracing, and you're trying to avoid it or trying to cover it up or hide it, well, then it affects your lower digestional tract and can lead to you not even breaking your food down correctly. A lot of people can actually see this by protruding bellies. Okay, I have this in sessions a lot, you know, where there's emotions that are mostly negative. Okay, but this can also happen when we allow ourselves to feel them, you know, but then our belly extends and it really shows you how much you've stored there. Okay, so it affects your heart and it affects your digestional tract, which can also then affect your stomach and your spleen and your pancreas. Now here you will find more sort of the interpretation of your mind that affects your stomach and your pancreas. That is the worry, the anxiety, the rumination, the mistrust, the withholding. Okay, and yes, this of course affects your digestion, already in a place where things just have to be dissolved. So things aren't getting dissolved enough, and things therefore can also not be eliminated enough. Okay, so this is when people have this issue with retaining a lot of sort of toxic energies and toxic components in their bodies. Okay, and this then can lead to issues with your stomach lining, and also with inflammation of your pancreas, inflammation of your spleen. Those are all things that come from too much worrying, too much judging yourself, too much anxiety. The larger intestines, that's where the nutrients that come through your food is being absorbed. That's where a lot of your neurotransmitters and hormones get their building blocks from. Those get, that part of you, and also your lungs and your skin, they get very much affected by the overall emotional state. So if you are very sad, if you are often depressed, if you feel really, you know, sort of low in motivation and apathetic, okay, it can have many different reasons. I'm not talking about the reasons here today, I'm just talking about the effects. You know, then it can lead to you having issues with even absorbing the nutrients of the foods. I know so many people who know everything about ideal or healthy nutrition, but have major issues with love and self-love and really seeing sort of the positive side of things, that these things can't fully be absorbed, and therefore can have not just mineral or nutrient, sort of a malnutritious state here, which can affect your psyche, can affect your emotions, can lead to basically a depletion that then promotes this depression cycle. It can also lead to you not grounding enough, not breathing enough, you know, not even seeing that you're allowed to take up space. And, you know, the lung issues like asthma and COPD and lung cancer and so forth, those are all physical symptoms that can come from prolonged sort of restriction and constriction emotionally, okay? And that then on a physical or physiological level leads to lack of oxygen, just a lack of life force in you, okay? Constipation, for instance, is also one of those things that follow out of this. So, you know, a general energy tip that you hear me say when I see energies coming in that trigger people in their sadness or in their grieving is to get your body moving, you know, get off the couch, get into huffing and puffing a little bit, make those juices flow, get your life force going, because then you have this positive cycle going between your life force and your physical energy increasing, okay? And this then serves as a springboard, you know, to you feeling better and also feeling more motivated, okay? Now, what happens when we have too much anger, too much frustration, too much rage, too much jealousy and envy? Now, this is where all the liver problems and the gallbladder problems end up. Also, people with thyroid issues are often sort of victim of their own repressed anger, of their own inner frustration. And, victimization, plays into this. So gallbladder, liver, and also eye problems. So why eye problems? The eye is part of your sixth chakra and also your fifth chakra. It's because there's something, that you're seeing with wrong eyes. Okay, so it typically leads to metabolic dysfunctions such as diabetes. The breakdown of toxins in your body doesn't function right, okay, which is then what stresses your thyroid, and leads to all these metabolic diseases, okay. It can also lead to your blood flow, and with it also your energy flow not being right, okay. So this is the part here where we always talk about clearing and detoxifying, and where you want to work with your lymphatic system to stimulate yourself on a nervous level to excrete, to release all these toxic energies in you, even the ones that come in through foods or through the environment and so forth. People with kidney and bladder issues, and this can also extend to the ears, have issues or usually repress fear too much. Okay, we see this a lot in people with anxiety. There's this overall sort of stagnation in the system, where it's not just the toxicity that stays in, but everything kind of stays in, and there is no real flow. So if the old stuff doesn't leave you, new stuff can't come in. And one of the things that we recommend here, and you hear me say this almost every week, is drink more water, okay, to keep your kidney and your bladder in this continual flow, and not try to restrict things too much. Rigidity, is also something here that can affect your kidney and your bladder. Okay. Now, problems with the ears come from your autonomous nervous system that is continually fatigued through this adrenal spiking. Okay, so you have too much adrenaline, as we call it, and cortisol in your system, and that just wears you out. So when you notice your five senses slowly becoming numb, okay, it's usually a sign that you are holding in too much, that you're not allowing this to release properly, okay. And this way you can understand, why I associate these things with a certain chakra. So when I see certain chakras being triggered in a week, then I usually go back to how it affects our physiology, and that's how I then develop sort of the suggestion for the medicine. You can do this yourself, guys. You just really need to look at the energy, at the emotion that you are feeling and that you're perhaps repressing. So a lot of this will be triggered here next week, and my suggestion to you, besides this educational part of it, is also to go into this really working with healing rituals, really working with connecting and energizing places, items that help you to remind yourself of how important and how sacred your body is. All right, so don't let this just slide by. These things backlash big time. Okay, those of you who feel they don't have time to meditate, guys, there's many different ways to meditate, and one of which, my personal favorite, is walking meditation. Okay, emotionally living the truth means, yes, can't escape. So numbing is never okay. All backlash is on you. So use this rage or this anger that is coming forward here as you're doing the trauma healing to understand that, first of all, anger is higher in energetic power, so it can actually help you to get out of your fear. Okay, but then to find more positive, more healthy ways to express all that. Okay, so writing it all down, creating anger cards. Okay, this is something I recommended in the forum here as a result of the True Self session that we had 2 days ago. And letting go of this victimization, the thing that I recommended with sending positive messages to others, can also help to uplift your own energy. Mentally, this is interesting here because when you start connecting the dots, you'll begin to see the larger picture. Yes, but when it comes to yourself in the larger picture, you still have to deal with your ego stuff. What I see amongst many of you is that you have this tendency to externalize your ego. And yes, to a degree, I recommend this at the very beginning of your journey. Give your ego a name, see it as this critical inner voice, and so forth. But then only for you to actually reintegrate it, to bring it back in, to make it a part of you, not to cut it off, and shove it aside. That's not going to help you heal or get past any of your ego stuff. Okay, so be a bit more honest there with you. Okay, if you're still presenting something or projecting something to the outside that isn't true, that is based on your ego, you're still promoting your false self, and you will continue to pull in those people that are no good for you. Okay. Now, socially, this is a beautiful, beautiful week to heal family stuff, and especially sibling stuff. Issues with your brothers and your sisters, things that have been looming there for so long, that you've been carrying along for so long. Sharing the larger picture with your siblings can be such a beautiful thing to engage in, to share your insights and to say, I never looked at it before. I know as a child, I've always seen you as my big sister or my little brother or whatever. These things still dominate how we see each other. But you know what? Seeing the larger picture of our family constellation and what we have been conditioned by, I recognize now how we were both, or all of us, had to carry this cross and had to come up with our ways of dealing with things. So yes, sorry if I judged you in the past. Sorry if I'm still seeing you as my big brother who got all the privileges, whom my father loved more, stuff like that. All this can be released. All this can be healed here. It's a great week for that, guys. And in conjunction with this, with your own relationships, also see how this is playing out between you and your partner. It's the same thing. See the larger picture. See what they karmically represent for you and what you're supposed to learn through them. Soulmate or not, there always is a learning aspect with our partners. Okay. Now, spiritually, it's a wonderful week, and here with the Grace Redemption Marathon, we're going deep, deep into this right now. It's the reverence for the sacredness of life and really connecting with our love for the divine and what this means for us. Redemption has to do with you seeing everything as a cycle, and that you have the choice to rebirth yourself by letting go of the past, but not by cutting it off, by accepting it, by acknowledging it, and by going into true surrender with it. Also, another aspect that's coming in spiritually is the legacy aspect. I talked a little bit about this in the energy update, the footprint that we leave behind. And then last but not least, energetically, and you guys will be able to do this with us, is the karmic family clearing, and how karmic family clearing is not actually just a clearing, it's also integration. It's also connecting with the medicine of our ancestors and what all this presents to us here in our life. My biggest tip for you energetically for next week is learn to let go, learn to surrender, and stay in your center. Don't let your energy get distracted by things that are not even important to you, that don't even matter to you anymore. Thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you for supporting transCODES. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.